कभी नहीं कहा मैं सही इंसान हूँ। मैं सिर्फ अंकुर की बहन हूँ।
Good. So lovely to be in conversation. Okay, so a warm welcome to the very wonderful breakout talent who I've actually enjoyed watching in the Archies, and now he's definitely, I'm sure, made us sort of sob a little bit, Jigra. So warm welcome to you, Vedang, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I think Vedang, I'm going to jump straight into the deep end. Okay, this role is definitely very emotionally driven. It's intense. There's a scene in there which you've mentioned has obviously tainted you a little bit, I think, psychologically when you did it. When you are jumping into such high octane emotions, what process does an actor necessarily go through?
Um, yeah, so this is interesting because this is only my second film, right? And I
Mm.
think an actor is always kind of finding his process. And I also feel like that's kind of an endless journey. So for me, I think this is the first time that I've happened to be vulnerable on camera in a way where, I'm crying and, letting it all out. And Archie's, I didn't have moments like that per se. So I think my process was just kind of uh, doing whatever it takes to access that emotion. I think that's why I speak about how it took a toll on me. But then I also was kind of rational enough to look at it in a way that I don't think I need to be doing this uh, uh, to do a good job. It's not the only way to do it. It's not a necessity. And I think the day that I kind of decided to lock myself in my vanity van and not speak to anybody and just put myself through that and kind of come on set and be able to access that emotion easier. I realized that there's other ways to do it. That was also the first time I was crying on camera. So I was worried about how that would go, and I guess I put myself through more than I should have. But yeah, it's an endless journey. I mean, some scenes will take a toll on you, um, and it's part of the process. And somehow, in the moment, it's challenging. But I look back at it, and I enjoyed the fact that at least I put some effort into it and kind of gave it my all. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, I mean, this is only my second film, so I think with the films that I keep doing, I'll realize, okay, this works for me, this doesn't work for me, and kind of hopefully get better with every film.
But I think the one thing that not just me, but a lot of people who saw you in the Archies and in Jigra would agree the fact that you are there's a very mature sense and awareness of you as an actor that you bring. I want to know, where do you think this maturity stems from, Vedang, in you as an artist?
Interesting question because I've never seen myself that way. I think mm, it's maybe because of since a very young age I was exposed to um, good cinema and good books and good music, and I guess without realizing subconsciously, I guess that kind of uh, you know made my sensibility a certain way about how I look at film and how I look at art. And I guess that maybe has translated in some way in the form of my acting. This is just an assumption. I don't know exactly what matured means in terms of a performance, but maybe the fact that it looks like um, I don't know, maybe it's the effort I put in, maybe it's accumulation of things that I don't even know. Well, I mean, all I can say is that I kind of have I do my homework and I have a bit of an academic kind of approach to my acting. Maybe that helps. Maybe that helps.
Yeah, no, very rightly said. But I have to say, when I watched the film, the first thing that instantly struck me, and because I've been a huge fan of Gumrah when I was a kid, I mean, that was the
Right.
film which really introduced me to Devi. And I think, what always fascinated me about that film is the way she's caught unassumed, is the naivety, and how that naivety really then transpires into her character building and her growth as an individual. Has there ever been a time in your life in Jigram? I mean, I hope that you've not been to prison, of course, but has there ever been a time when, you've kind of gone through a phase which has caught you unassuming, and it's kind of led to your growth as a human being, despite the emotional or mental sort of barriers you might have had to cross at that point in time?
Hmm. Interesting question. I can't think of maybe like one moment where that's happened. Um, but when it comes to a performance, I feel like you need to it's like, for the first time I was put in a situation where I realized, okay, as an actor, there's no way I can have a real life experience of how it feels like to be in a prison A, or how it feels like to be on death row and to be awaiting your death in 3 months. It's a very unique place to be in as a character. And sometimes you play characters that, have certain emotions that you can't really, relate to or access. And you do need to kind of find ways to do that. So for me, um, I think I just watched a lot of documentaries of, inmates who were on death row, how they behave, how they speak. Do they completely just give up on life because they know they're dying in, 3, 4, 5 months, maybe a year? Are they still chirpy? Are they still able to kind of converse and live their life like usual? Why don't they just stop eating food and just, give up? Why does that not happen? So they're just trying to get into like the more behavioral side of things. And well, yeah, just keep drawing from things that I can watch. So for the prison, I watched some Prison Break films. I watched, actors that I admire play inmates. So I think
Hmm.
that was also interesting, and there was a lot to draw from that. And then it's all in the writing at the end of the day. I think the film was written in a way that made it easier for me as an actor to, embody the character.
And there's been many stories about Indian migrants abroad who have been in death row and who have been executed as well. So I think for you, how much has it made you, in a way, in the larger sort of social themes, made you explore and understand that the harsh side of Indians living abroad, and should they get caught up in a heinous crime of the land, they could also face severe consequences. How much did it make you think about that as well?
Um, it did. I mean, it's like a really, because it felt so real. Also, Ankur as a character felt very close to who I am as a person. So every time I used to think, man, like this could happen to me. Like what if I was just maybe caught in a situation that I had nothing to do with, or like somehow end up in a sticky situation like he did? What would I do? And that thought is quite scary. And he feels very much like, who I am as a person, and I felt like, I would feel all the emotions he was feeling if this was to happen to me in real life. So yeah, it's yeah, it was scary. It was tricky to play a character like that. And yeah, but at the end of the day, it's a character and it's a film, and you need to realize that it's not the same as real life.
Hmm. I think the dynamics of the industry and getting roles have changed a lot. I think because there's so many, like you mentioned as well, there's so many plethora of actors that you admire who've had certain journeys where I think it can become very easy to emulate a certain pattern, a certain career graph, a certain area of choices of projects that could kind of reach you to that goal. Vedang, at this point in time, what has kept you and made you stay away from following the herd or following typical trends and patterns and jumping on the bandwagon at the same time afterwards, because we're running short on time, if you could also sing a few lines for us, that would be amazing as well, because I'm a big fan of your singing. That would be great.
Yeah, so when it comes to choosing roles, I think there's just no one correct way of looking at things. I mean, even if you follow the career like paths and trajectories of the greats who've done it before, there is no like one answer to these things. And that's the one lesson that I've learned, that there is no one correct way to look at anything. Um, so I think for me, my focus right now is to just do a good job with what I'm doing. I think it's important for me as an actor to just do full justice to any role that I'm taking on. And B, I'm trying to just chase good writing. I keep saying that, like, if I find something that's written well, it's not like a genre or a specific character that I'm chasing, or
Hmm.
I think if I'm part of a good film and my character has some sort of scope, then those are projects that I'd like to be a part of. And
It's
then my
growth.
journey will find its way. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the growth of the character, isn't it?
Yes, yes, yes. And it's also like, I mean, for me, it's just I'm really lucky to be even part of films as a whole. I never knew I'd be in this place where I'd even have the privilege to be choosing from different projects. So, um, I'm just taking it as it comes, one step at a time. And yeah, hopefully, I keep getting opportunities like this.
Right, before we wrap up, if you could quickly sing a few lines before we go.
Okay, okay, okay. So I'll do Phulo Ka Taro Ka. It's a song that I sang for the film Jigra. I'll do a couple of lines. फूलों का तारों का सबका कहना है, एक हजारों में मेरी बहना है, सारी उम्र हमें संग रहना है, फूलों का तारों का सबका कहना है.
Amazing, truly multi-talented. Thank you so much, Vedang, and
Thank you.
congratulations. And can't wait to
Thank
see
you so
some more
much.
amazing work from you. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much. Thank you for having
Catch
me.
you later. Bye.
See you.